This September marks 2 years since Hurricane Helene, and if you drive through western North Carolina, you'll see beautiful landscape, newly rebuilt buildings, and resilience. But look deeper, and you'll see a persistent need for housing and for hope. New state data from the Department of Commerce shows just how long recovery is taking. The Renew NC housing program for low-income homeowners received more than 7,200 applications as of January this year, and by the end of March, the state had completed only 30 projects. That is why a Western North Carolina nonprofit is pushing on, helping with housing. Jason Seidel is with Project Your Home. Jason, thanks for being here. You live and work in Western North Carolina. You've seen how far this area has come in terms of housing, but also the work that remains ever since you partnered with Camping World 2 years ago to get trailers into Marion. Give us a sense of what's happening there now.
Well, the reality is there's a lot of folks that are still unserved because there's a large gap between, folks that owned homes and then had insurance or were served by FEMA, and then folks that were renters. And they just didn't have the capacity or capability to be served. And so those folks are still looking for inventory, which many times doesn't exist, or they're looking for inventory, a place to live that was about the same cost as what they were paying before. And for most of them, it just doesn't exist.
Do you have an estimate about how many people are still using temporary housing provided by Project Your Home and what the action plan is to transition them out of it?
So we have a group of nonprofits, approximately 12 of us, that are all over Western North Carolina that are trying to serve these folks. And beyond even what we're serving, there's hundreds that are still in what would be considered temporary housing, whether it be still in campers or tiny homes, hotels, or others that are looking for just low priced housing solutions that many times don't exist. So the need is still extremely great. The other need is the fact that there are a lot of people that are living in homes that are just now, the bleeding has been stopped, and they're they've got holes in their roofs, they've got mold and all these other health issues, and they're just coming to us saying, now I'm at a point to where I can address these things. What do I do?
Yeah, and along those lines, you're now observing kind of hand in hand a new aspect of post-Helene life, which is deteriorating mental health. What have you observed about the emotional toll this storm has taken now 2 years later?
Well, one of the things that I can say is we were really blessed to be where I'm one of a group of a handful of folks that worked with a program that was initiated by the federal government and then handed down to the state, which was called Hope for NC. And we were able to kind of become liaisons to give folks the things they needed, whether at the time it was a generator or whatever, to get them into a system to be able to see that they could receive free mental health services. And the reality is we had combat veterans that were coming to us saying this was worse than combat because this was their home and their people. And if a combat veteran was having, dealing with these traumatic events in a different way than even combat, then we know that our children and folks that have lived in this region just aren't equipped. So the reality is anybody that lives in Western North Carolina that experienced this event is suffering from PTSDs and the things like that.
That's hard to hear. One of the early partners in your efforts was NASCAR legend Greg Biffle, a civilian pilot who flew search and rescue and then joined you in providing ground support. You and I talked about him as you were heading to his funeral last year, and you vowed then to continue his mission and his message. In what way have you been able to do that?
In a lot of ways. One is just simply be like Biff, right? Like every day, what would you do? What did Greg Biffle do? And that's an easy thing to do, right? Just do what's right by human beings and run in when other folks might be running out. The other thing is to continue his legacy by providing some of the funding solutions and fundraising for organizations that he supported to give back to him and the things that he did.
And Jason, thank you so much for your time and continued effort. If you had one message to send to people who are in Western North Carolina and just feeling hopeless and helpless right now, what would you say to them?
Two things. First thing is, for the rest of the world, we're not fixed yet. We're still not done. We've got probably 10 or more years. And for the people of Western North Carolina, link up with us. We're here for you. We do care, and we're trying to make some headway and continue the recovery efforts.
We appreciate so much your insight and all your team is doing to ensure Western North Carolina is not forgotten. Jason, thank you. We'll talk soon.